this was another one of the ones, and it sort of has meant more to me over the course of the last 30 or 40 years. So this was something I was listening to on a drive home from Winnipeg, actually, in my car, and they started playing this as a full album. And again, it made me, I didn't stop on the side of the highway, thankfully, but I did make sure that I listened to it all the way in. I think I took a slightly longer route home than I normally would have. So it was the Rheostatics whale music. So this is good Cancon. Um, this is one that changed me. Again, I had to hear this. I had to get a hold of a copy. I'd heard the Rheostatics before late night, but not quite to the same extent. I think, but before this album, they'd had two other albums, and they'd played hits here and there. And this is the first time I'd actually sat down and listened to an entire album's worth of their stuff in context. And they had a lot of different influences that, again, weren't necessarily all that common for a band back in the early 90s. So they would listen to punk, they would listen to country, they would listen to flamenco, they would listen to all of this other stuff, and then they would take it and weave it into their own thing. There was progressive rock, there was literally any type of music you could think of that was out there, they were listening to and creating their own take on it and synthesizing it into something brand new. So, and this was like, I'm just counting off the top of my head, it looks like 17 tracks on this record. All of them, almost all of them, in a sort of different style. The thing that sort of grabbed me about this at this point is I'd heard their tracks before, but it hadn't ever occurred to me just how great they were at their instruments, and how great Martin was at singing. So he had this falsetto that just sort of would like soar up and do little pirouettes in the air and then come down sort of like Bowie would, but in his own little way. And they were singing songs about working at a gas station at night, and about hockey, and about drinking beer. It was very Canadian of them. The lyrical content as well. It was the first time I'd ever really heard somebody actually singing in an interesting way about stuff that I knew. Like, I think I'd heard maybe a bit of Stompin' Tom before, and I didn't appreciate him at the time. But this was truly Canadian, but also truly progressive at the same time. It was a sound that sort of synthesized almost anything else that was out there, and turned it into something that was all its own thing, all new, and all Canadian.